Once upon a time in the land of Israel there was a mighty God named El, the supreme God, the father of the gods. He ruled over the heavens and the earth. But then something extraordinary happened. El vanished from the scene, leaving only his son Yahweh to carry on his legacy. How can the God who ruled the heavens simply disappear? And why is it that only Yahweh remains in the minds of men today? Join me as we embark on a journey through the hidden annals of history to uncover the mystery of the forgotten God, El. This is not just a religious story, it's a transformation that changed human history. But to understand this change, we must first go back to the beginning. Before Yahweh was the one and only God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he shared the heavens with a pantheon of deities. The Canaanites called him El.
He was known as El Elyon, El Shaddai, God Most High. He was the king on the mountain, sitting in the council of the gods, dispensing wisdom and justice. Our first clue to El's identity comes from the Ugaritic texts, a collection of ancient Syrian documents that shed light on the religious beliefs of the Canaanites. These texts paint a picture of El as a wise, eternal king,
the father of the gods and the husband of a goddess named Asherah. He was revered as the supreme deity, the one who created all things and upheld the order of the cosmos. In fact, the name Israel means El rules, and Bethel means house of El. This shows that El had a central position in the early faith of Israel. Just like Zeus in Greece or Anu in Mesopotamia, El was a father god who was gradually replaced by his son, Yahweh. Now let's turn our attention to Yahweh, the storm god of the desert. He was not always the creator god, the Lord of the Sabbath, or the father of Jesus. He was once a fierce warrior, riding the winds and thundering across the skies. His origins can be traced back to the region of Edom, Seir, Teman. There he was worshipped by a group of people called the Shasu, who are mentioned in the Egyptian records as the Shasu of Yohu. The meaning of his name is debated among scholars, but most agree that it has something to do with the desert and the storm. Yahweh was the god of war, thunder, and the desert, a protector of nomads and shepherds. He led his people out of slavery in Egypt and brought them to the promised land. He gave them the Torah and made a covenant with them at Mount Sinai. He was a jealous and demanding God, but also a merciful and forgiving one. Many people think that Yahweh appeared directly in Sinai or Jerusalem, but in fact, he came from the arid border. He was a local god who became a national god when the politics of the region needed a common symbol. Now, here's where the story takes a surprising twist. The two gods, El and Yahweh, once rivals, eventually became one. Deuteronomy 32:8 reads, "When El divided the nations, he set the borders of the people according to the number of the children of Israel." But wait, what does that mean? Did El rule over the nations and Yahweh only Israel? No, that's not what the original text says. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Septuagint, it says, "When El divided the nations, Yahweh was only assigned Israel." The sons of God were changed to the sons of Israel in the Masoretic text to remove any trace of polytheism. It was a calculated rebranding. It was not natural evolution, but conscious erasure. The next voice we need to hear is that of Baal. Baal, the Canaanite god of thunder, was a popular deity in the ancient Near East. He shared many characteristics with Yahweh, such as his association with storms, his role as a warrior, and his status as a consort of a goddess. For example, Psalm 29 is almost a copy of the songs of Baal in Ugarit. Yahweh both absorbed Baal's power and turned him into an enemy in stories like Elijah at Mount Carmel. It was a theological erasure, a form of religion that erases its opponents by rewriting history. It reminds me of ancient empires that often erase the names of fallen kings from stone tablets. And finally, we come to Asherah. Her name appears in several places in the Hebrew Bible, usually in connection with Yahweh. However, her role and status are often unclear or disputed. The most famous archaeological evidence for Asherah comes from Kuntilet Ajrod, where we find the inscription, "Yahweh of Samaria and his Asherah." Asherah was the consort of El, the mother of the gods, the goddess of fertility and protection. When Yahweh absorbed El, Asherah became Yahweh's queen of heaven too. But during Josiah's reform in the 7th century BCE, she was silenced along with El. He destroyed the Asherah pillar, which was probably a symbol of her worship, and tried to erase all traces of her from the land. Speaking of Josiah, he was the king of Judah who initiated major religious reforms. He rediscovered the Book of the Law and used it to centralize the worship of Yahweh in Jerusalem. He destroyed local temples, burned traces of worship of many gods, and made Judah a more religious and political entity. He was successful in uniting the nation under one God, but at the cost of silencing all other voices. After the Babylonian exile in 586 BCE, when Jerusalem fell and the temple was destroyed, Yahweh was no longer a national god. He was redefined as a cosmic judge, using Babylon as a tool to punish Israel. Isaiah 45 reads, "I am Yahweh, and there is no other. I am Yahweh, and there is no other." This is when monotheism hardened. From national failure comes universal faith. Finally, after going through the redactions of Genesis, Exodus, and Deuteronomy, El, Baal, and Asherah disappeared. The Bible became a monotheist story. Passages suggesting polytheism, "Let us make man in our image," or Psalm 82, "The gods of the nations are nothing," were reinterpreted. It's like Egypt in the time of Akhenaten, when the god Aten was given supreme power, but only Israel kept monotheism alive for a long time. So what was the birth of monotheism? A long process of theological development or a simple change of heart? Or was it a rewriting of history in the service of faith? All these voices tell us a story of change, of how a single narrative can swallow up multiple truths. It makes me wonder, what voices have we forgotten? And what can we learn from them today? If you like this video, please share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching.